Previously on Travelog.
So American's economy on the Dreamliner long haul. As much as I want to, I can't hate it, and it gets an approval from me. Yeah, the seats are tight and the food only tolerable, but the 787 really holds up its end of the experience, and at no point was I really wanting the flight to be over.
Well, I thought 9 hours wasn't that bad. What about 2 flights across the Pacific on American 787? Let's see in this double review of my flights from Los Angeles to Auckland and from Sydney back to Los Angeles. But what really made this trip so special wasn't the flights themselves. It was how I was able to book such a trip for next to nothing. If you want to skip straight to the flight review, click on the timestamp down below. In my video on dynamic award pricing, I predicted American Airlines would copy United and Delta, and they sure did. I believe dynamic award pricing is a really anti-consumer practice, but did identify a few possible silver linings. But there is a fourth positive that I missed. Complete and utter IT incompetence. American slowly rolled out web-saver awards in the background as the new pricing engine went live, and well, there were some issues. United and Delta have switched to dynamic pricing.
Oh yeah? Watch this.
Watch what?
I think we're in trouble.
See, the cheapest price American offers is 5,000 miles. These are for routes that are wide open and tickets are cheap, like $50. But for some reason, some expensive routes were also pricing like that. Routes that I don't think they intended to be that cheap, like Hawaii, New Zealand, and Australia. It was 10,000 miles round trip with one-ways at 6,000. For reference, the old Sabre price was 40,000 miles each way, with the new dynamic prices being stupidly high. I got the tip-off that something was up about 30 minutes before it became public knowledge on all the blogs. As much as this is my hobby, they are always those with more information. It's just the connections and who you know.
You know someone like that?
Let's just say I know a guy who knows a guy who knows another guy.
Then it was a frantic crawling of AA.com to figure out patterns, what days were available, and what routes. And that is something I'm very good at.
They do have a very particular set of skills. Skills I've acquired over a very long career. Skills that make me a nightmare for people like you.
I couldn't get a round trip to work with the days I had available, but I was able to piece together a routing that worked for $6K each way, and I scrambled to book each leg as the website crashed around me.
Just do it! And another one.
I also had a Hawaii trip in my cart, but sadly AA took their entire booking engine offline. Do I feel bad about this? Absolutely not. You made this dynamic bed, American. You get to lie in it. Who is to say this was even a mistake? It's all dynamic after all. And if you missed this deal, there's been a few more instances where flights go to 5K since then.
They told me they fixed it. It's not my fault!
Oh my God, who the hell cares?
Okay, let's get to the actual review. There's no priority pass lounges or restaurants in the American terminal at LAX, so I went over to the Alaska terminal, Terminal 6. There was Point the Way Cafe, which was fine, but hey, you get $28 free with priority pass. I had to put my name down on the Alaska waitlist required for priority pass cardholders, but was finally let in. The space is quite nice, actually. No, you can't really have a meal there, but there's a modest spread, varied seating with plenty of charging ports, and a completely complimentary bar where they refuse tips. Like with the flight crews, there's a massive difference in the demeanor of the Alaska lounge staff than their American and United compatriots. Boarding was pretty casual, and credit to American, the app now accurately tells you when boarding starts. The plane was actually fairly empty. This Auckland route is pretty new, so that's likely the reason rather than fears about coronavirus. I hope it stays, as more ways to New Zealand are always welcome. I won't cover the seat in detail yet again, go see my prior videos, but I find it comfortable enough, with an adjustable headrest, decent cushion, acceptable though not great, 31 inches of legroom, USB in full power, and a touch entertainment screen. This was an 11 p.m. flight, and even while still on the ground, people were ready for bed. There were 2 full meals and a snack scheduled for the flight, but honestly I slept and awoke only for breakfast. Boarding only took 20 minutes, and people started to move around the cabin to grab empty rows. We pushed back 10 minutes early. Frustratingly, the cabin lights were left on for takeoff, so filming didn't look that great. Flying time was 13 hours and 20 minutes at 40,000 feet. There's not much to show, honestly, for most of the flight. The cabin was dark, and I slept for about 9 hours off and on in my own sky couch after the initial beverage service. Oh, when I went to the lavatory, I returned to find a woman sleeping in my seats. Seriously? Yeah, those pillows and blankets just magically were put there for you. The windows of the Dreamliner were overridden centrally and were dimmed for nearly the entire flight. This leads to some pretty trippy clips when filming. Breakfast was served an hour 20 prior to landing, and there were 2 rounds of beverages, sans alcohol. This was the only time I really saw the crew, and they were fine, honestly. They were friendly and helpful, though not overtly friendly. They were also all clearly senior flight attendants cashing in on a wonderful luxury route. The scrambled eggs were pretty good for plain eggs, honestly, though the hash browns, ham, and tomato were just alright. There was also some yogurt and granola and a fig bar. I didn't eat the fig bar and in fact left it on the plane. Why? Because we next filled out the New Zealand landing cards. You need to declare anything, any organic material or food, and do not try and sneak it through. They scan all your bags, and it's a 400 New Zealand dollar fine if they catch you with anything. I saw them catch people, so I suggest coming hungry to New Zealand. The food and wine are great anyway. Even after land was sighted, the windows remained locked in their darkest position. I asked a flight attendant, and soon the dimming was gone. And we landed in Auckland. Let's fast forward through my trip to New Zealand. Oh, the Tongariro Alpine Crossing, yeah, that'll be a video. 2 different Air New Zealand flights getting their own reviews. To Sydney. After taking the airport link to the airport, I walked around the terminal. There's cool things like a McDonald's with a 2-story conveyor belt, and less cool things like all this duty-free shopping. I feel like I'm in the mall, which are dying, you know. However, I do know why they're popular here. But still, I had complained about the overcrowding at the American Express Lounge the last time I was in Sydney, but about 3 months before they had moved to a new, larger space. However, it's quite far from the One World gates and is in the basement near Star Alliance and Emirates. It was pretty nice, actually. American Express contracted this lounge out to Plaza Premium, who run their own chain of pretty decent lounges, many of which are accessible with Priority Pass. The space is much larger with varied seating, though it's sad to lose the views of all the One World international planes. The food spread was pretty decent. You could see them cooking and baking right there, and there was even a made-to-order station, and of course, being a millennial, I got the avocado toast. There were a lot of 787s in Sydney, from the good, to the bad, to the ugly. Boarding this time was a bit more stringent, with police asking questions and being asked about our travel history due to coronavirus. This flight was more full, and while I had an empty seat next to me, there was a woman in the aisle seat. Now a subscriber, actually. It was great talking to you. The taxi was incredibly quick. Flying time was 12 hours and 51 minutes, thanks to strong tailwinds, at 35,000 feet, though we ended up at 40,000 feet. I was actually awake for the first meal this time, and ordered the grilled chicken, parsley, lemon, and dukkha, served cold. It was pretty decent actually. The chicken was moist and fresh, and it was a light but filling meal. The chocolate mousse was indeed dangerously addictive. I give complete credit on the quality of the food to the Australian catering here. It was funny though that none of the wines on offer were from Australia. For most of the flight, the windows were locked at half brightness, and given the jet lag and turbulence, I only managed about 2 hours of sleep. I did start wanting for the flight to be over. I watched some live TV, read a book, and played with the map. I'm sorry I slept through the snack again, but it looked pretty mediocre. I got the same American breakfast this time, only with potatoes instead of mushrooms and a different yogurt. Again, I feel it was marginally better. It's funny, normally catering is better at an airline's hub. Now I'm saying catering outside of the US is actually better for American? Perhaps I am. We touched down at LAX around 5:10 a.m. and taxied to our gate. But we weren't allowed to deplane. Customs and Border Patrol didn't open until 6 a.m., so we sat on the ground for 50 minutes in our seats. Fun, fun. After Immigration and Customs, I passed the new Centurion lounge at LAX, which sadly only opened the week after I was there. So American 787 long haul and economy. Yeah, it's great if you have a free empty row or seat next to you. Yes, it's better than Qantas's pre-refurbished A380s for sure. Is it better than Air New Zealand? Likely not, and there's a review of that in Premium Economy coming soon. Given the price I paid, it was of course an amazing value and experience. I personally think American is more comfortable in economy long haul than United, though I have yet to try Delta. I also would love to compare against Virgin Australia, but booking them on miles is quite tricky. What's your favorite way of getting down under from North America? Let me know down below. Thanks for watching. If you like this video, click that button and please subscribe for many more flight reviews to come. I'll see you on the next one.